Hello, this is Matthew Inickmount, episode 9 of the Lord Nailith. That's right. Episode 9 is entitled, The Voices of the Damned. That's right. The Voices of the Damned. And just to give us a clearer idea of what all is involved in this subject, I've got a special guest star be presenting to you today. Cynthia Mount, that's right. Take it away, Cynthia.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Mount, and I'm Matthew's mother. And I'd like to talk to you today about being a Christian and what that entails. Well, I thought I was going to be a good Christian, and I believe that being a good Christian, you have to have good works. And so I believed in the works doctrine, and I contributed highly to my place of business, which was a nursing home. And I bought clothes for the residents and made sure that they didn't go without at the expense of some of my paychecks. And then there was this time when I had a friend that realized I was that kind of a person, and we met her on the street, and she started coming over to the house on a regular basis. And this friend and her husband would ask to borrow money from me almost right away.
So how much money did the voices of these damn people borrow?
They borrowed, I'm not sure how much, I know it was over $75,000.
Over $75,000.
That people had taken from me, I mean, because of my wanting to be a good Christian. And my debt became higher and higher because I kept trying to be that good Christian that I was supposed to be. And as a result, I had to take out a second mortgage on my house.
So what exactly did these people use that $75,000 on?
Well, it wasn't at the nursing home that they used the $75,000. I didn't regret giving money there. But what I did regret doing was giving money to this couple that was always asking me for money, because one day I went to their house and I realized that there was a drug party going on. And I just told them, oh, I see you're taking care of business. I better leave. And at that point, they were going to strip search me to make sure I wasn't wearing a tape recorder. And I said to the person that wanted to strip search me, hey, I'm so ugly, nobody would want to see me naked. And at that, they started laughing and they let me go. So I decided never to go back to their house again, but they kept coming to the door asking me for money. And I realized that all the money that I had been giving them, they were spending it on drugs. And we even paid for a vacation for them to California, which they said they were going to reimburse us for, and that they were going to actually chip in on the costs. And we used our credit cards and paid for a vacation for them to go to California, and at great expense to us.
Now, just for our viewers, how far away is California from here, living in Illinois?
That's quite a distance. I can't really say in miles, but I know it's quite a distance away from Illinois. And
would you say that it's over 1,000 miles?
Oh, yes, more than definitely. And my son was the only driver, and he had to drive all the way to California and back, and he had to fill up the gas tank several times and rent hotel rooms and pay for all their meals and everything. And they didn't pay a dime towards that, and they never reimbursed us for anything. And then they continued to borrow from us, and they would give us money once in a while, and then they'd ask for it back, only they'd ask for more the next time when they borrowed. It was like we could never get out of debt with them. They'd come to the door and they'd give us $100, and then they might ask us for $175 the next day.
Would you say that they ever paid as much as $1,000 back of the $75,000?
No, they didn't pay anything back to us.
So they didn't just pay anything, nothing at all.
No, in fact, they borrowed more than they actually ever paid back.
Now, would you say that by giving these people money that it actually made the situation in their life better or worse?
Well, I think we were just fueling their need for drugs, and we didn't realize it. When I realized that they were spending all of their money on drugs, I was determined not to give them money anymore. And they kept borrowing from us. In fact, one time we took them to church, and we thought, well, maybe they're making a turn for the better. We took the wife of the husband to church, and we thought she was actually trying to change her life, and I gave her money to put in the collection plate, and she put it in her pocket, and I'm not so sure that she didn't dip into the plate when they were passing it by.
Wow. So, if you saw these people today and you had $1 million, how much of that million would you give them?
Probably nothing.
So,
In fact, I have had to close the door in their face while they were asking me for money when they came to the house with a fake cast on. One of them. When one of them showed up at the house with a fake cast on, I had to shut the door in her face when she asked to borrow money for pain pills.
how often did you have to provide supplies such as money for pain pills or money for other needed necessities, so to speak?
Probably as often as I got paid, they were always there at the door and asking for money. And when they saw that I got a large amount of money, then they thought that they would help me around the house. And when I told them I had spent all that money on bills, then they got angry and they never helped me clean the house again.
Now, how much help did they provide with cleaning the house? Was it like over several months, or was it over several weeks, or just give us an idea of how much house cleaning they actually did?
Oh, probably 2 or 3 hours worth of house cleaning, and then when they realized I didn't have any money, then they didn't come back anymore. But whenever they would come back, they knew I had money. And it seemed like somebody in the neighborhood must have tipped them off whenever we bought groceries, because they were there asking for groceries on days when I had groceries and I brought them in.
Now, in your estimation, if you were to gain the eternal wealth of the kingdom of heaven by actually entering heaven, and then these two people were groveling at your feet wanting to gain that wealth too, would you say that you would like to share it with them and have a eternal dwelling with them, and with the man and his wife?
Well, I would hope that they would change their ways and that it would never come to that. But I will say that the man passed on after it was drug related in his death, and he passed on. And
would you say it was complications of cocaine?
well, I'm not sure. I mean, I won't go that far, but I know that it was drug related in his death, and because of that, this person, his wife, made a comment to me, and she said, "I'd rather live in hell," and she mentioned her husband's name with her husband, than to live in heaven than to live in heaven and be alone.
Wow. So you would say that this woman, despite the fact that she would gain such wealth in heaven, was more determined to be in hell with her husband if it came down to that.
Yes.
So Do you view this as a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, I think that I was probably as codependent on her as she was on me because I needed her friendship. And if it weren't for her friendship, I would not have been in the situation that I am in today, which is without money and struggling to pay the bills.
Wow. So, what would your advice be to people today that are looking at providing funds for the poor when the poor ask them, or people that may not be poor but present themselves as poor? I mean, what would your advice be? Do you have any advice about how to determine a real poor person from a non-poor person, or how to treat people that are poor or people that are pretending to be poor or anything like that?
Well, I know that, like in this situation that I was in with this woman, she took advantage of the system to the fullest. She knew where she could get money at all times, and she went to food banks when she didn't need to. She brought homeless people into her house so that they would get food stamps a food card, a link card, and she would bring them into her home, and she would tell them to say that they were homeless in order that she could gain their food money and buy food for herself while she just lived it up on drugs.
Now, how big of a problem would you say this is? I mean, do you see this kind of thing like all the time, or is this just this one lady?
No, I've seen it in other cases, and it just seems like in the area that we're in, it seems like this is kind of a common problem, that people are abusing the system, and a lot of them are on government programs, and they get link cards, and I've been told that some actually sell their link cards for to pay the rent or to buy cigarettes and beer, and that they actually don't spend it on groceries, but they go to food banks to supplement their income, and that the link cards aren't really doing what they're intended to do.